Good morning and a very warm welcome to all the speakers, panelists, and guests who have flown in from all over the globe. The Future of Heritage Learning from the Aga Khan Historic Cities program is a seminar conceived and curated by Maria Aslam of ADA, Architecture Design Art, in collaboration with the Aga Khan Trust for Culture Education program. This seminar examines the challenges facing the built heritage of Pakistan, specifically Karachi's inner city, in the light of the methodology and approach to heritage conservation and adaptive reuse projects of the Aga Khan Historic Cities program.
It is truly an honor being here today with such an august audience, and I start the day's proceedings with a quote. A city is a combination of many things: memory, desires, signs of a language. It is a place of exchange, as any textbook of economic history will tell you, and these exchanges are not trade in goods. They also involve words, desires, and memories, quote unquote, Calvino's invisible cities. The lingering traces of fragments of the past that intertwine the present day lives with architecture as its receptacle, photography as captured moments, letters, postcards, maps, and other paraphernalia that we human amass as accoutrements in life to seize the present for the future. Heritage, be it tangible or intangible, is a significant essence of each individual since it comprises of our very personal belongings and memories. Karachi is a pulsating, throbbing, and vibrant city. The city has multitude of layers, none of which can be undermined, be it social, cultural, financial, and of course artistic. Similarly, in the case of architecture, the city and landscape emerge as contested surfaces caught between the intangible layers of social stratification. The more I study this city, the more I'm lost with it, and the more it frustrates me. But it still dazzles me, and I would request all of you to be dazzled by Karachi once again. Whatever our individual take is from today's irreducible price of learning, I hope, apart from inspiring and motivating us intellectually, the proceedings and discourse will condition us.
Whether you are architects, conservation architects, independent experts, or faculty from architecture schools all over Pakistan, or last but certainly not least, as students from AKU and beyond, who have had the good idea to join us here this morning, because after all, students are the central focus of any education program worth its name. This education program of the Aga Khan Trust for Culture was launched in 2017 at the behest of His Highness the Aga Khan in order to share with young people the knowledges and learnings accumulated by two of the Trust's flagship programs, the Aga Khan Award for Architecture and the Aga Khan Historic Cities program. The central responsibility of the education program, therefore, is to promote within teaching and learning institutions, so that's essentially schools of architecture, but it's also at the secondary school level, to promote within these institutions the elaboration and delivery of modules, course components, teaching units that make use of this rich storehouse of knowledge.
I want to start with first what we're talking about. We're talking about culture and identity when we're talking about conservation and heritage. And what do we mean by culture? It's a very, very broad term. But we are talking about the different beliefs, the rituals, the customs, the knowledges, the languages, the laws of different human societies and groups that have developed over time through a combination of human thought and development. We could also be referring to the arts and heritage of different societies, and this includes value systems, traditions, and also beliefs. Culture is responsible for how we came to be. It's a very large part of who we are, and it influences who we will become.
So it began with Baltet Fort in 1990. It was finished in 1996. This was landmark project which started everything in Pakistan. And interestingly enough, from day one, the Historic Cities program was also concerned with the impact this landmark monument conservation project was going to have on the immediate surroundings, noteworthy for their scenic and natural landscape. And so the monument and its setting was even then considered extremely important. And fortunately, much of that landscape still survives.
One of the big changes that Aga Khan's vision did for historic Cairo was to put people at the center of schemes to upgrade it. Since the 19th century, Egypt has had a very long tradition of preserving monuments and restoring them, but the residents of the historic area were never an important part of any of these schemes. They were always seen as secondary, if sometimes they were seen as to the detriment of the historic, of being there to the detriment of the historic environment. And the Historic Cities program sought to change that, to see people as an asset and livelihoods as an asset, and to think, well, how can the historic environment work for them? I think any good urban conservation plan, any good intervention in a historic environment or a non-historic environment is based on a thorough understanding. And because our office was in the neighborhood, because, as I mentioned, many of the people working on our team came from the neighborhood, and people from the neighborhood would approach us. We were walking the street the whole time. We became part of the community, and the community became part of us. And I think that if there's one lesson to be learned from our project, I think that would be it.
I think this is one thing that is missing. We think that we can make an intervention. We can just push things through and it's done. Well, it's not done. It's a slow process and it takes perhaps 2 generations for it to consolidate.
I think heritage, in my mind, at this particular stage is very much beyond its very refined technical challenges. It's a philosophical issue. And I think the best way to deal with them is not at beyond middle age, is to deal with when they're students, is to teach them what it is to remember. I heard these words way back, and I thank the source of these ideas. 3 words: life is to remember, life is to reflect on the memories, and the third one is to have a vision on the basis of the memories and the reflections upon the memories.